There's like a sullenness in you today.
Yeah, it's the stress. It's kind of taking its toll. It was a stressful day.
It's a proverbial straw.
Yep. I was pissed off yesterday. There was nothing about yesterday. It was a good day for me. And I actually don't have very many of those days. I don't think I remember a day recently where I was quite as mad at everything.
You felt like you were at war with the world?
Really? I mean, no. At war against the financial world. But yeah, like, it just... It was the collapse of a dream and goals that I have been working towards. And it's really stupid because it's all based on a purchase, but it's relative, you know. I mean, at least I could feed my kids and I could, you know, pay my bills.
That never actually makes you feel better, though. You know, like when
you
were younger.
I couldn't buy what I wanted. I couldn't buy the way... And this is more important because this is about purchasing something that's going to change the way I interact with my kids and my friends and all this stuff. So, like, this has got such a different purchase in mind. So, like, vacations are different and, you know, my Sunday afternoons are different. And
because of that purchase.
So,
yeah. Which is a boat, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so having it being taken away from me because of a past mistake on somebody else's part, not really even mine, especially a clerical error, and the fact that I had cleaned it up, rectified it, done all my stuff to make sure that error was adjusted within a year of that. So this is 7 years ago that this error was there. And now 7 years later, it's biting me in the ass.
Which is completely relatable to a lot of people with credit, because you'll check your credit score and you'll find that there's a discrepancy on there, and whether or not that's real or imagined, or if that was some sort of clerical error, like you mentioned before, that still influences your ability to do things in the world. Yeah, it doesn't matter how it got there. It's just black and white. It says this is here, and therefore you can't have this or you can't have that. Right.
And then in most banks, especially financial institutes, see that as just black and white, and they say like, oh, you've made this mistake right here, and you know, you've missed one 30-day payment 6 years ago. We can't give you today's loan. Well, yeah, there's a totally different story 6 years ago, you know, and it's so hard to, and I mean, I see what they're coming at. I mean, you're offering, you know, gratis large amounts of money that go to different things, and especially a boat. A boat is completely discretionary. No one needs a boat for any reason, you know.
Well, Captain Stubing needed a boat.
I mean, I'm a captain, so I...
Do you know who Captain Stubing was?
I don't.
He was the captain of the Love Boat.
Oh, okay. Do you know that I have I have a goal? And you know the whole thing?
The Love
Oh my God.
Boat. I don't know. I just don't know hum the rest.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I have a goal.
Yes.
I have a dream. I wanna retire to be a pirate.
Go on. You want to retire? I don't know that people do that typically, but then again, most things that you do, most people don't do.
Yeah,
so
I mean,
did you talk to your financial planner about this?
No.
How do I get from point A to point pirate?
Definitely a self-proclaimed goal. But yeah, I want to be a pirate.
You want to be like taking cargo from ships with weapons. Is that what you want to do? Or you just want to walk around like Johnny Depp in...
No, I totally want to be on a boat looking for booty.
You'll be doing that anyways, whether you're a pirate or not.
No, I think that like the goal of getting to be on a catamaran and shuttling, you know, groups of 5 or 10 or 20 people around to go look at islands and, you know,
that's a tour guide. That's not a pirate. That's a big difference.
I'm gonna be dressed like a pirate.
No, that's fine. I could dress like a pirate. I could dress like a pirate. Doesn't make me a pirate.
Says who?
Says pirates. I mean, pirates wouldn't take me seriously.
There's a pirate coalition.
They go, he's dressed up. Let's get him on the ship.
Where is the pirate coalition, man? This isn't
the pirate coalition.
Yeah, the pirate coalition. You know,
Are you messing with
don't they have
messing with the levels now?
Well,
Do you know how hard that's going to be in
even
post?
Started the
We've
show.
started. This has started like an hour ago.
You're like super hot. I don't know why.
I don't know why either. I blame genetics.
We haven't even. We got to play our theme song. Hold on a second. Here we
Are
go.
we recording? Yeah, we are recording.
Yeah. Oh, there's no. There it is.
So you
Yeah, welcome to the Pinkie and the Ben podcast.
Studio audience, they're
now
still clapping.
6 minutes into the show, we have officially started.
Well, don't say that because I might cut out a lot of the stuff that you said because it's nonsensical.
Crap.
You went off on like 5 tangents. There's nowhere for me to jump off. I was like, I wanted to talk about the first point, and you're like, then you immediately switch gears and you go into pirates.
But that's maybe what I'm best at.
Is jumping off?
Yes.
Well, okay, let's jump off on the topic then. The topic for today is outcomes and expectations.
It is my favorite topic.
Outcomes and expectations?
No, it's just my favorite one right now.
Because it's what you're experiencing in your world.
It is. I really appreciate that you brought that up too, because I think it's going to help alleviate a lot of that anxiety and stress and anxiousness that I experienced yesterday. I mean, I really went through quite the tumulturous.
Tumultuous?
Did I make that word up?
You added letters to it. But I followed you.
Time. I mean,
Yeah.
it was really tough. I was really angry, and I haven't been angry in a long time.
Sure.
There's definitely been a couple things in my life that has made me angry, past friendship situations, disappointments, to where, I felt betrayed and carried hate with me for a long time, which was really hard to process. Holy cow, is hate hard to process.
Yeah.
Which explains why the world has a hard time getting rid of hate in general, because it's a bitch to like
it clings
get rid
to
of.
you,
Yeah,
and you're seeking outside of yourself to get rid of it.
It's
You're
a bad Velcro stuck to a wound that is stuck with super glue. It's terrible. So,
yeah, Velcro and super glue. It's a bad combination.
on your wound.
On your wound.
Not even
I thought
the
you said
soft
womb for a second.
No wound. Not even the soft side of Velcro. It's the plasticky side.
I don't like that side.
Oh no, it's
The
terrible.
other side, I feel like I'm brushing like a sheep,
Yeah, you cut.
or like maybe like an alpaca.
That is not what hate is, though.
Hate is the opposite of
Of
brushing
an alpaca.
I think that's how I'm going to define it from now on. Someone's like, I'm totally in hate right now. I'm like, yeah, it's not like brushing an alpaca. I can tell you that much. It's like brushing the hard part of Velcro. Am I right?
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Hitler was like, no, it's not like that at
no,
all. Wow, that was not like, it's not like hard Velcro.
No.
It was way worse than hard Velcro.
He's way worse than hard Velcro.
Yeah.
That's true.
But there's a genesis to it, and it seeks vengeance. It seeks like vindication.
You're
Hatred
right,
does. Because the
right.
person who's in hate believes wholeheartedly that they're justified.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the interesting thing, so this is kind of like a side aspect, but the interesting thing of hate is it took me to forgive myself before I could release the demons I carried that existed around the hate.
Because it can only come from you anyways.
And that's it. That's
Yeah.
it. These people weren't in my life anymore. I had already removed the problem from the situation. I didn't associate them with them. They weren't around anymore. They weren't friends. We didn't have anything tied. I was no longer financially tied to anything. There was no repercussions. But I carried this hate with me for so long. So I think ultimately it still goes down to, an expectation and what I set myself up for in that aspect. And so then I'm upset with myself because I didn't give myself the right expectation.
Yeah, you had a certain outlook for how the world was supposed to be, and the way that you responded back to it was ultimately how it was influenced. I like to say too that and I say this, and sometimes it's obnoxious when I'm saying to someone who's actually in it, like fully experiencing the emotion. But I like to say that you can't make anyone feel anything that isn't already inside them. Right. Someone will say, this made me angry or this made me this way. It has to be inside to come out. If you're like in a complete zened out state, it's like it doesn't matter what you do, the person is still going to be in a state of zen. Right. Side point, were you gargling glass yesterday?
Oh,
or
man.
did you smoke like a carton of cigarettes?
I It was a carton of glass cigarettes
Oh wow!
that I smoked.
You took like the fiberglass, the pink fiberglass.
The
and
most
you just
actually
inhaled it.
from 1962.
So you got some asbestos
Some
in there too.
asbestos glass fiberglass cigarettes.
That's the best kind.
Oh my God, it was so.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, like I sound
my
like
first love.
you could have introduced me like I was a guest speaker.
Yeah, you sound like a guest speaker.
Like I'm really. This is just
Our
so
guest
everybody
speaker
knows.
is-
This is Pinkie. I'm really James. I'm here. I promise.
Our guest speaker is Madge. She's a 75-year-old former bus driver. She smoked a carton of cigarettes a day for the last 30 years.
While the kids were on
Welcome,
the
Madge.
bus.
Welcome, Madge.
You're welcome. Thank you. I'm glad I could be here today.
What's it like to be here? It's wonderful. Oh my God, I got to get on the bus right now and take these kids to school. That's Madge.
Oh my God. Yeah, no, I definitely have all kinds of.
So did your voice get that way from yelling out in the ether? Was it just like the stress upon you when you were talking to people?
It was the stress.
You know
the
what it
stress,
is?
and it was the frustration. I mean, oh geez. I mean, I had clenched fists, kind of.
More than two?
Yeah, I borrowed a couple.
Okay, good.
Borrowed a couple.
Can I borrow your fist? Yes, I'm going to
Please.
clench that.
I clenched it in my fist. They were crying. I was yelling.
Yeah.
It was bad. It was bad. It was very bad.
But what's interesting with the voice thing, right? I have not lost my voice in going on 2.5 years now. In my old office, now I love the people I worked with, and I'm grateful for that environment I was in. But I didn't feel like I could be the fullest expression of who I am, right? I felt like suppressed or repressed in some way. I would lose my voice about 3 times a year.
Yeah.
I'd be working on patients, and I would be talking like this. And they go, "What happened to you?" And I go, "I lost my voice. I don't know what happened." But that would happen like 3 times a year.
Yeah.
And you effectively like almost losing your voice yesterday was like, the credit system was like evaluation of you as a person.
Well, I think honestly,
sense.
it was
Madge.
stressing my voice, not losing my voice.
Sure.
I knew where it was. I used it. I used it loudly.
But it wasn't being heard.
It was no.
That's
no,
my point.
it was
Is
definitely
you
not.
had something to say. It was not being received.
No, financial institutes don't care about my voice at all. It's not one bit.
Well, maybe the kids on the bus will.
That's true.
Yeah.
Now I'm predestined.
Sit down, Tommy.
Damn it! I don't get to be a pirate. I have to be a bus driver now.
You could be a bus driver pirate.
It's
Yar, get back in your seat, Tommy.
Captain Pegleg will come, put you down. You will walk the aisle of the bus.
There's no plank.
It's just the aisle.
Walk
of
the
bus.
aisle. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it was tough. It was tough yesterday to process yesterday. I'm still kind of processing and coming down off of that anxiousness. So, I mean, in the end, I guess it's teaching yourself to set up an expectation that you can handle and process
Or have no expectations.
or have no right. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, because in the end, what am I expecting to buy a boat? I mean, and I thought about that a lot this morning too, and I go,
Well, and you're still going to get it.
I mean, maybe
Well,
not, but
you
at the same time, what does it do to my life? And then you got to look at the perspective of life versus life somewhere else, right? Like I
Yeah.
said, I mean, I could feed my kids.
Well, that's true, but again, that never makes anyone happy. Like when you're younger and they're
Feeding
like,
your kids doesn't make you happy.
no, that's a horrible thing to say.
It's horrible.
That's a horrible thing to say. I don't feel that way at all. I resemble that remark. No, it's like when you're younger and they're like, I know that you skinned your knee, but there are people starving in the world.
It's so true.
And you're like, yeah, I know that, but my knee hurts right
Yes,
now.
yes.
But you don't get to feel your knee hurting because someone is
That's
hurting.
true. Don't
somewhere.
feel your pain just because someone's worse somewhere else.
And you're like, cool, I'll repress that feeling I'm having and I'll shrink it down. No, there's a saying my dad used to say, and he would say it ironically, almost sarcastically, but there's a deep truth to it. He said, he who expects nothing is rarely disappointed. And I follow the maxim, so he who expects nothing is rarely disappointed. I follow the maxim that whatever I'm doing right now is exactly what I need to be doing. So if the world reflects back in some way, and I'm not getting what I initially intended to get, I'm getting exactly what I needed. So, for instance, I met with a friend to go to the DMV, and she was signing over the title of the car that we shared together. And we had a couple of days of almost estrangement where we weren't like connected, and I love this person. I still love this person. But we had a couple of days where we were kind of estranged. So when I went up to the DMV, I saw her. She made eye contact with me. We're in line together to do this, but there was like a glimmer of love, a glimmer of connection. And I just immediately hugged and held her. And we just were standing there crying in the DMV line. And this is like, this is COVID time.
Which is pretty normal for most people in the DMV line.
But for different reasons.
Right.
They're like, oh, I'm in the DMV right now. This is hell.
Be like, everybody was looking at you two go, we can relate with them.
We want to hug as well, but this COVID, so we're going to keep our distance.
Right.
Yeah, we were in line outside because because with COVID, you couldn't go inside. It was this whole thing. And I get to the front of the line after reconciling and no longer feeling estranged and just feeling like that. Like I knew that we would reconnect. I just felt the pain of separation for a few days. Get to the front of the line, we find out we can't do anything. Like you needed to have an appointment, you needed to have all these papers in order. And I was like completely cool with it. I was like, good. I didn't know that I was coming here for this, but I got exactly what I really, really wanted. Right. And the next moment up to the DMV, I didn't have an appointment. I had barely enough things ready. And the lady's like, yeah, you can go inside. I don't care. I was like, awesome. Thank you, Madge.
I waited here for 2 hours.
Her name was also Madge.
Oh, it's a coincidence.
I know. All car-related things are Madge-based.
All car-related.
Yeah. No, but the feeling you had yesterday is not a new feeling. You've had issues with financial institutions before. Right. And there's a belief within Buddhism. It is called dependent origination or mutual arising. And what that means is that if you are holding something inside you, the universe magnetizes to it. So if there are past frustrations with financial institutions or wanting to buy something and being told you couldn't have it or whatever that may be, you'll magnetize that experience, and then that will give you the chance to finally heal the wounding and the pain you have inside of you. It's why like someone who's looking for a fight, like a physical fight, will go to a bar and find someone who's also looking for a physical fight. Right. It's like they're magnetized, or like how the bully finds the victim, right? Bruce Lipton, Joe Dispenza talk about how the person who mugs somebody, like New York City or something like that, they always find the proper person. It's like how the wolf knows the prey. They can just sense it.
Right, because like in the end, the wolf doesn't go after the healthiest one. And when there's a herd of deer necessarily running by, you can't tell that one's, necessarily less. I mean, sure, if they had a limp or something like that, but if they're running, they're gonna be like, they can sense that one is the one that they should go after because
thinning the herd.
Yeah, they can
most
figure
definitely.
that out.
So the financial institution yesterday saw you as a limping deer.
Oh Jesus,
it's a terrible example, isn't it?
Oh my God.
Yeah,
I kind of feel that. I've escaped barely with my life now. I mean,
and then they just pounced.
I'm a lot happier. I'm a lot happier now. I survived the attack.
You did.
I can spawn my new generation of pirate deer.
Right, and we'll cut that leg off, and because it's becoming gangrenous. I went to a pirate exhibit a couple of years back, and they were so true to form. They had 2 mannequin pirates, and fun fact: on a pirate ship, they didn't have doctors.
No,
they had carpenters, and that was your doctor.
That's why everybody got like wooden legs.
That's exactly it. Yeah. So they had like true to form. They had 2 mannequins, and they had like a little sound box, like a little speaker there. Well, like the other mannequins like yelling out in agony, ah, or ar, I don't know. And the other mannequin, who's a carpenter mannequin, mind you, is cutting off his leg, and then like a little info card is there, like, did you know on pirate ships,
carpenters were doctors?
Well, when they would cut things off with just your rudimentary tools. Yeah. Like I'm just gonna go work on that plank over there, but your leg looks like it needs to be sawed off. So yeah, how would you like a tourniquet on it? Yeah. Here's some whiskey.
Yeah, here's some whiskey. That solves everything.
It does. Much. This topic today should be pirates.
I think so. I'm always okay with pirates.
Yeah, but outcomes and expectations. I mean,
maybe it was their outcome and expectation
with the institution.
Yeah, the union of pirates didn't ever form. So therefore, they've become extinct now.
They needed to unionize.
They needed to band together and have a bigger expectation.
Yeah, well, that was what a mutiny was. So a mutiny was a unionization.
New expectation.
Right, it was the original union.
Yeah, very true on that.
And the captain was a union buster. Fun fact with that, I read a book on Starbucks a number of years ago, and whenever any Starbucks store tries to unionize, you know what they do?
Starbucks stores?
Starbucks stores.
Oh, okay.
Whenever they try to unionize, you know what they do?
What?
Shut them down.
They just close them.
They just close them.
Yeah.
They close them for a period of time, long enough for the people to not be able to work and then have to find new jobs. And then they hire all new staff. That's their MO.
I mean,
their MO is like shut the doors. Basically, anyone who wanted to work there, sorry, we had to shut down this particular store. You can come back, though, when we open it, which might be never.
That might be never.
By the way, we've got billions of dollars, so we don't need to keep this store open.
Right.
We're completely cool.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the ironic thing is I'm not actually pro-union myself.
Yeah.
And it's...
No, why not?
Well, because it was an old world protection that was
Sure.
needed in there, and now they've become greedy and hungry and don't feed the system and the equality that they were built to begin with. You know, they're just so about protecting the person and inflating that person's wages or jobs that it makes it harder, which stresses a lot of the economy. And it makes it harder it also makes it harder to get quality, because I've worked with several unions throughout the years. And there was just ridiculous, blatant statements that some plumber couldn't do his job because the electrician's wire was sitting on top of his plumber, and it wasn't his job.
Now, was that a euphemism?
No.
Okay.
No,
He was actually speaking about a real wire.
He was talking about
I thought maybe the guy was walking around with his pants off.
It might have small wire, live wire.
Okay, live wire.
Yeah. But no, he wouldn't do his job.
Yeah.
He just sat there and waited, and it took 20 minutes for an electrician to finally get over to touch the wire, to pick it up, to move it 4 feet so that the plumber could get to his pile of plumbing that he could then continue his job. And he just sat there and stared at you and didn't care.
Right.
And that's what unions have produced is a level of laziness. It was supposed to be built for protection, to make sure that people had healthy work environments and fair wages.
Yeah.
And now they're unfair wages. I mean, they're 3 times the amount of rate that goes out there. And then, I mean, there's plenty of people who argue minimum wage all day long, but
because it hasn't kept up with inflation.
Because it hasn't kept up with inflation.
Yeah.
But which is an interesting aspect there for probably a topic another day. So I'll just say it and then shelf it.
Sure.
But one of the things that are really interesting is the expectation. I guess maybe it does relate. Is the expectation that we deserve 3,000 square foot houses, 2 cars, cell phone, and a white picket fence
In order to be happy.
So where's the inflation? I mean, I live below my means. I'm very, very, and would boast that, even today, my entire life's bills are $1,200
a month.
That's my house. That's my yard. That's my cars. That's every bill that I have is $1,200.
Yeah.
There's people who don't even have houses that are $1,200. I mean, they're 3 times. People pay rent for $1,200.
Oh, for apartments.
In apartments.
Yeah.
Right.
And you're talking like in a really fancy city or a really big city, you're going to be paying like double that.
Yeah.
Easily.
And then when I add my boat payment, which is a frivolous expense that no one needs, I'm going to be at $1,800.
Yeah.
So for $1,800, which my brother, his house payment was $1,500 for just his house. And here I had a vehicle to get me to and from work. I have a house and a roof for me and my kids. And now I have this, fantastic recreation for the same cost or virtually the same cost as somebody who just wanted a house.
Yeah.
And then at that level, they don't think that they've get enough. So, is inflation a problem? Yes, potentially. But is minimum wage a problem? Yes, potentially. But is our spending habits potentially a problem? So that expectation that you have set on your own life is potentially where the problem sits, is because you expect that you deserve what everybody else deserves. I don't know. I mean, I expect that I have to work harder because I didn't go to college, and I'm under the mindset that you can do one of 2 philosophies in life. You can either work hard or you can think hard.
Sure.
And either one will build you success. Neither one is a negative path. Neither one is not possible to become successful. But you will either physically have to work hard because you're using your body, or you will mentally have to work hard because you go to school, you read books, you get knowledge, you look at YouTube and do all kinds of stuff like that, whatever, right?
Yeah.
But you don't need a college degree. You don't need a plan, direction. You don't need anything. You just need to know that one of the two philosophies, you're either going to physically work hard, or you're going to mentally think hard.
Yeah.
And then when you do that, you're going to succeed. And that's the expectation I've put on myself.
Mm-hmm.
And so from there, I try to achieve the goals that I create within those means, and maybe even slightly below those means, which is also probably an interesting debate versus a goal and a dream. Because a boat's a ridiculous dream. This boat, as a matter of fact, so here's what's ridiculous about this, right? This boat is actually more expensive than my house.
But the boat's represented a piece for you for community, fun, connection, time with your boys.
Yeah.
The boat is a means to all those things within your world. So it's not.
And it's a lifelong goal. I mean, I've not only have I done Sunday Fun Day for 15 years. You yourself have been at our Sunday Fun Days.
Most definitely.
And so we've been doing that, and I've lived that life for 15 years. So having my own boat, having my own vehicle of recreation, fun, sharing those types of joys with my children, doing those types of things has been a goal for forever. And because of that goal, I have chosen to sacrifice in other areas so that way I could obtain that goal. Because if I had a $1,500 house payment, and I had a $800 car payment, and I had, the nicest, most brand new phone, and I had cable TV and all the channels, and I would have no money. Yeah. And by having no money, nor also not even the percent to value myself to where I could levy a boat, I couldn't afford a boat.
Yeah. Now, if I can interpose something real quick. All those things are true.
You may not interpose, you may insert something.
Cricket. All right, let me insert something.
Yes, please.
From afar.
Yes. Insert away.
So there's different levels of consciousness, right? They talk about third dimensional consciousness, fourth and fifth dimensional consciousness, and beyond.
And beyond fifth?
Beyond fifth.
A 19th dimensional?
I think I've heard up to maybe 9, 10, or 11 different aspects of consciousness.
Okay, I'm on the 19th.
But at a certain point, we just get kind of theoretical. So 3D consciousness would be, I work for 20, 25 years, 30 years. I retire. I am able to have my freedoms and do what I want. I work really hard, and I get what I want.
Right.
Now, to work really hard, I'm either, like you said, working through the mind or working through physicality. All right. Fourth dimensional consciousness, you're moving within the heart space. Fifth dimensional consciousness, you're moving into the higher chakra centers. In those dimensional consciousness states, and Dr. Joe Dispenza and others talk about this, you become an attractor field for what you want. So you are already an attractor field for your experience. You see that most demonstrably when you're in a flow state. So in a flow state, things can just happen to you and things can just come. For instance, my partner, one of her philosophies, and I love this philosophy, is that money can just come to me.
Oh, right.
I don't have to work for it. It can just come.
Right.
So I've been applying that recently. My practice has not been seeing as many people. You could say because of COVID or something along those lines, people who are coming in are still getting immense results, and I'm still having amazing interactions with people, right? But I'm wanting to build videos. I'm wanting to share on a global level. I'm wanting to connect with people. I'm wanting to teach them about consciousness, etc. That's where my intention is right now. So my intention has changed from having to be back in a room with people for X amount of hours to money just coming. So in the last week, I got a check for $6,000, and I found out that I'm eligible for another $8,000 through another loan system where I don't have to pay it back.
Oh, yeah.
Money just keeps on coming to me, and that's become the philosophical underpinning. But in fifth dimensional consciousness, the idea is you set your sights for something. We'll say a boat, right? And instead of working and striving and pushing to get it, you're attracting it. Now, you are putting action into the world, but you're moving into a flow state. So yesterday, you could argue, and I'm not doing this to pick on you, but that you were not in a flow state because you were actually pushing against the walls that were coming up. It doesn't mean you're not going to get a boat. It just means that yesterday was not the day. Yesterday was a day where no matter where you turn, no matter how much energy you put into it, you're going to hit a wall. Your credit score is excellent, and you're clearing the path right now. But in other philosophical or spiritual schools, what we'd say is there's an energy blockage inside of you. That actually was representative in form in the experience you had yesterday, that you're now moving the energy blockages inside, and as soon as you do, you become a stronger attractor field for what you want, and it will just come to you.
Right.
And I'm seeing that time and time again where I don't have to push and strive. In fact, if I'm putting a lot of energy into something and I'm hitting walls, I step away.
Right.
I'm not meant to do it. It's not meant to be that way. But to go off on another tangent, one of my favorite parables is the parable of the Chinese farmer. Have you heard this before?
Man, geez, it just slipped off my tongue. I can't believe I can't think of it right. I just used it yesterday.
Well, allow me to insert it.
Thank you, please.
Yes.
Please.
So the parable of the Chinese farmer,
yes.
One of my favorite parables of all time. Okay.
Is this specific to the Chinese farmer?
No, I mean, it's arbitrary. It could
be Chinese farmer?
It could be anyone. It could be the parable of the European farmer, but it's based upon that. That's just how it's known.
A farmer.
A farmer.
Farming.
It's known. Yeah, farming. So the parable of the Chinese farmer goes like this. There's an old Chinese farmer, and he has an old horse, and the horse is no longer able to serve him. And because the horse has served him so well, he takes the horse up to the mountains and lets him go free. Says, "You're free. Thank you for serving me." Comes back to his farm. The townspeople say to him, "That's such a tragedy. That's so bad that happened. Now you don't have a horse to work on your farm. How unfortunate." And the old Chinese farmer said, "Maybe." A few days later, the horse comes back. This time the horse is bringing about 3 or 4 wild horses with him, all young. And the townspeople go, "My God, how fortunate. You have all these horses. You didn't have these horses before. Now you have these horses. How fortunate for you to have these horses." And the old Chinese farmer said, "Maybe. These horses are wild. They needed to be broken in. They were not domesticated."
Right.
So his son is working to domesticate the horses. In the midst of it, he gets bucked off a horse and breaks his leg. And now the townspeople say, "How unfortunate. You didn't have these horses. Your old horse brings these horses back. Your son gets bucked off. He breaks his leg. How unfortunate. If you didn't have these horses, it wouldn't have happened." The tiny town is conscripted to war because the country has gone to war. And the people that are conscripting young men to battle come to the old farmer's house. And they say, "We'd like to conscript your son to war." But when they see his son has a broken leg, they can't.
Right.
And now the townspeople go, "How fortunate. If you didn't have those new horses that weren't domesticated, that needed to be trained, and your son wasn't bucked off, he would be off to battle right now and possibly die in war." And the old farmer says, "Maybe." So the whole point of the story is that anything good that's ever happened to you, if you trail back far enough, probably led from something bad.
Yeah.
And if you ever see something bad, it will oftentimes trail off into something good. And it is completely our perceptive state that actually determines whether something is good or bad. So therefore, outcomes and expectations, if we become stuck within there, it becomes a prison. Like hatred becomes a prison. And it becomes something where we're trapped based upon how we've actually labeled a reality, when in reality, your experience yesterday led us into an awesome topic today and a conversation that may be enlightening to other people listening,
right,
or maybe even shift your own perspective on the world.
Right.
And if you didn't have that yesterday, I wouldn't be talking to Madge, the bus driver, right now.
Yeah, right. Seriously, the new guest speaking. Well, and at the same time, I mean, there's a lot of things that kind of go just naturally in that philosophy too. Is, you know, as we experience things, we look at our past and we can see if they were good or bad. And that kind of changes our outcome for the future as well. There's lots of things that I viewed at that moment were bad, but I learned great lessons. And now today, I believe that, you know, success is based off of the value of the failures.
Oh, most definitely.
You know? So like, those failures were very important to me because I did grow from them. I think the worst part about it is when you recognize that there was a failure and you didn't grow from it. Well, now you're just doomed to repeat it. Yeah. And you're stuck in that loop, which brings us to that cul-de-sac effect that we had talked about before. And so, you know, being able to exercise the work, and it's becoming easier as I'm becoming older. And as I get more time behind my belt, I can also work and think slower, but actually travel faster, because I can come to the decisions and I can realize that I've hit this cul-de-sac. I want to turn around. I want to go back. It's no longer as scary that time. Because of all these failures, because of all these challenges, because of all these issues that have happened in my past. So to speak of today's goal and success, yes, you know, yesterday was stressful and very difficult for me to process, but today's a new day.
And you battle tested it.
And all I have is challenges, and for me is just pushing paperwork out of my way and moving forward. So You know, I mean, it
It's
also
not
still
stopping
shows me that I still get collisions and I still have issues, but I'm going to be resourceful and try to really push my way through it.
Yeah.
And today is already starting off a little bit better. I've
A little
processed a lot of it. I mean, I'm here with you, so
Good.
it's
That's
tremendously
yeah,
better.
I'm fishing for compliments right now. Yeah. It's so much better.
You fish away.
Yeah, I will. Well, you're a pirate, so
That's true.
I'm on the boat right now.
I mean, at least
I'm walking the aisle with you, Madge.
you might be in my belly a little bit later.
I don't know what that means, and I don't want to know. Yeah, a little side note, I won't be in his belly later. In any way.
It's not, no.
No part of me will be in your belly.
Well, I mean, depends on what you're inserting.
You know what's funny is podcast 4, the tagline was going to be protein straight to the gut. And it's still not going to be that. Although at least we have a name now.
Yeah, it's true. We do.
But that's
whimsical.
So that's a kind of so 2 points. One, Elon Musk with SpaceX.
Yes.
I think like the first 4 or 5 attempts at taking a rocket ship and blasting it into outer space didn't work. And this is
it happens.
A private company trying to become the new NASA. And you have a lot of private companies now that are they're going to be heading off to the moon and doing all these wonderful space explorations. Or trying to build life on Mars for some reason when we have a beautiful planet here that we could just enjoy and cultivate.
Stop fucking up. Yeah, right.
Exactly. Yeah, we don't need to create an atmosphere on Mars. We could, but we have an atmosphere here and we have a whole ecosystem. Let's stick with where it's already working.
Don't make a mountain out of a molehill? Is that one of those phrases?
Why not?
Right?
Yeah, why not? But he didn't give up after, and I think that one of the last times that they really could have launched it into space, and people still would have had some belief in their enterprise, it did work. So 2, we created a podcast with no name, and we just decided that outcomes and expectations be damned. We're just going to sit here and have a nice conversation between friends, and if no one ever watches this, we're still going to have a good time. And that was one of the first times I've ever created any video content or anything, just from the perspective of I want to do it. I want to have a conversation with my friend, put on headphones and record it and put out video. I have no expectation with this. I'm just enjoying life.
Oh.
And that's something that bleeds through. Like, you want to talk about what a flow state is, or that state of no expectation. The state of no expectation doesn't mean you're not getting what you want. It means that you are moving so loosely and so freely in the world that it just comes to you naturally. And you're like, you look around, you're like, how did I get here? And
definitely
you're like,
moving freely around the world.
You're not wearing underwear, are you?
No.
Okay.
No.
Good. Well,
but
luckily,
at least I'm wearing pants.
I hope so. I can't see you from this angle. So
from this side down, maybe not.
Right. You could be like, again, you could be like one of those cartoon characters. You could be Donald Duck for all I know. Yeah. But you was going back to the sea metaphor. He was dressed as a sailor. But any sailor, any Marine, any Navy person who was not wearing pants who dressed like Donald Duck. He was like, he's half Navy, half
Donald Duck.
Half Ron Jeremy.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Right.
So.
Yeah, no, it's really fun and interesting because the outcome and the expectation that exists behind what we're doing right now, it was just 2 of us just enjoying each other's company.
Yeah.
And that's all we wanted to do. And now, even for myself, I'm less apprehensive of, doing podcasts, things that were scary and intimidating and doing that type of stuff. What was I going to sit and talk to, So basically the expectation was, hey, let's sit down and have fun. We already have fun. What would happen if we recorded it? Let's do that. I think that'd be kind of cool. Okay.
Well, we were standing up and having fun before. We never really sat down and had fun.
Oh man.
And now we're sitting down and having fun.
Now we're on a whole new level of having fun.
We might actually do this upside down. I've never been upside down and had fun.
Can we lay down and do? I wonder what laying down and doing the podcast would be.
I'd probably just fall asleep.
I might fall asleep too. Maybe we should try that sometime. We'll just lay down. We'll get our yoga mats out.
Sure.
We'll lay down. We'll stare at the ceiling.
Okay.
And we won't look at each other.
And we'll still record it with video?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's still going to be just as boring as watching me and you talk, but
this is exciting.
But I think it'd be really interesting because I have a feeling, because I like looking at you. There's a lot of interesting things that happen by looking at you. I can see some emotions. I can see a lot of things that go on. Yet at the same time, I process in my brain before stuff comes out. And I think that by laying down and not looking at each other, we would potentially exist more in our mind and let the story create its own picture.
Oh, sure.
Right?
It become like a voice in someone's head.
And then we're talking to that picture in our own mind, not necessarily to each other.
Yeah.
Which would be really interesting to see how that changes or doesn't change. I don't know. Maybe just how it feels, how it would feel.
Sure.
I don't think it would change. I mean, me and you are still me and you, and we still have great conversation, but I feel like it would feel completely different.
Oh, it would. My partner, Anna, we have gone into a few different altered states through meditation or other means, and we'll just kind of lie next to each other with our eyes closed and talk. And at a certain point, there's such a cohesion of thought that it's like I'm actually thinking her thoughts and speaking them out loud. What we conceive of as, I think, a channeled state is really just being tapped into source or tapped into consciousness. And she'll just listen to me for hours, oftentimes going off on different points, or I'll listen to her, and she'll be thinking my thoughts, or be thinking her thoughts, and we'll be having this drawn out, almost like dreamlike state where two minds become one. Yeah. That's the beauty of human consciousness. Leading meditation, I had about 10 people last night, and just have different people in the room all the time that I'm leading with, but it becomes one consciousness or one mind. You and I are in a state of cohesion right now.
Yeah, true. No,
yeah.
I mean, we definitely flow really well and, play off of each other's ponderings and thoughts, and it builds those growth conversations where we can question and answer I think each other's needs.
Yeah. It's speaking to, and the irony is, your needs are the needs of others. Like I work on so many different people where they come in, and I'm like, in a given day, I might see several people that are all experiencing the same need. The conversation I have, they're like, boy, I mean, you're right on it. Like, this is what's going on in my life right now. And I'm like, the last person who came in was dealing with that too. I went through the proceedings of divorce and separation last year, even though my partner that I had for 14 years, I still love every hair in her head, and she's still my best friend. But in the midst of that, I had 3 patients come in on Monday. This is when I was deliberating whether to have the conversation, because I felt like we were going off on different tangents with our life. For her to be the fullness of who she is, I needed to let go of control and allow her to be, and she needed to let go of me and allow me to be, because within the world we were different expressions. When we were together, we got together wonderfully and had just immense love and immense support, but we wanted to go in 2 very different directions with our life.
Right.
So I had 3 people come in. This is 2 days before I had the conversation with my partner at the time. 3 people come in back to back to back on that Monday. And this is going into a flow state. So I was asking God, the universe, consciousness, I was saying, please show me what to do. Right. Which, that's a great tool. If you ever get lost, just realize that you are consciousness speaking to consciousness all the time. Say, I don't know what to do right now. Show me. And I promise you, within a few hours or even a few minutes, it'll come. So I'm begging the universe. I'm like, please show me what to do. 3 people back to back to back. All in 15-year plus relationships, all considering the same thing with people that they loved, but felt like they were going in different directions with. And it was getting to the point where they felt like they were closing off who they were, their partner was closing off who they were, and they needed to go in different directions. Because I like to say the person who says I do is not necessarily the same person who says I don't.
All right.
You shift and change as a person. So back to back to back, I'm like, all right, I get it. It's basically like I kept on showing up over and over and over again in different forms. And it was showing me like I was going in the right direction. And then what I went through yesterday was actually the divorce proceeding with the judge. And what was amazing with that, what was truly amazing, is the judge was kind of cranky and cantankerous with all these other people. We got to watch it through a Zoom call.
Oh, okay.
And when she finally got to us, I did some energy work. So I imagined her covered in pink rose quartz light. That's actually a trick you can do. You can actually project love on the person and project rose-colored light or something along those lines, and that can actually have an impact upon them. Anytime you send love outward, it always comes back. So I was just projecting love at the judge. I'm sitting next to my former partner. We're holding hands. I'm very close to her. I'm smiling at the judge. My former partner's smiling. And she just smiled at us the entire time. No outcome, no expectation. We were just in a flow state. Yeah. After we got off the call, I just broke down into tears because they used the word broken to describe our marriage when our marriage wasn't broken. We just wanted to go in different directions. We still love each other to our very core. Hugged and held her for like 5 minutes. We just sobbed on each other's shoulders, talked about how much we still love each other, but we're going in different directions with our life and we're making the right decision.
Yeah.
It's not always easy, but looking back, I know that we did the right thing. And not having any outcomes or expectations, my vision was to be able to have that court proceeding and hold hands with her and have her know that I still love her. Not feel like my love had been lost, but just that I need to go in a different direction with my life. And because I wasn't hell-bent on an outcome or expectation, I allowed things to flow. When we hit a crashing point and the emotions would get hard months ago, I just kept on showing up as love. And she did too. And
do you think it's necessarily no outcome or expectation? I mean, an outcome, you have to have some sort of want for an outcome.
Sure.
But it's the expectation and a realistic expectation, I think, is the piece that sits. So,
yeah, you can still have, like for you still want to have the boat, you still want to have the experience with your kids.
Well, but
that's
like for you guys, especially, I mean, your outcome was we are going to go through with this. The expectation was, can I be supportive?
Yeah, can we still be in love?
You had the right expectation to support the outcome. So instead of saying, oh, we're going to get divorced and I am right, you didn't go into it that way. You went into it saying, okay, we're going to move forward to support each other so that way we can move forward even more. And you set the right precedence to you had the right expectation to be able to nurture the right outcome. And I think that's where a lot of failure comes into sometimes is, and especially a lot of the stuff in the world doesn't exist with just I. No. It's we. And you set an outcome that says I, you've already defeated, or you've set an expectation that says I, you've already defeated the outcome because the outcome exists by we.
Right, we're all creating together.
Yeah, like hypothetically, some of the only situations which don't even really truly exist as an I, but like, oh, I'm going to go get up and go pee. Okay. Well, that could potentially be an outcome or an expectation that you could set on yourself because it only includes you and yourself. But if your outcome ever includes another person, making your expectation, I want this, or I want to do such and such, it will cloud that outcome, and it will not give you won't have the right expectation, Yeah,
there's a mutuality to it. So the other person has to be in the same accord. And I think that also gets into flow because if there's someone who's not going in the same direction as me within my life, we're not going in the same direction. That's perfectly fine. I've had that happen within the office where philosophically or where somebody wants to go is not the same. And I'm like, we can still be friends. I can still love you, but we're not going in the same direction. So cool. But no, my if you want to have like an outcome or expectation, my expectation within myself is to meet everything with love and compassion.
Yeah, yeah.
And then everything that forms of it is love and compassion. There's really nothing within the world that you can't meet with love and compassion, and that's the ultimate test because our biggest fear is death. For most people, our biggest fear is death. But to a saint or to a person who is evolved or enlightened, death is but the next great adventure. To quote Dumbledore from Harry Potter, death is but the next great adventure.
That's just as applicable as anything.
Right.
And it's for me, I don't really have a big high spiritual characteristic to that, but death is only the part of my journey.
And you can meet it with love and compassion.
Oh, I'm so excited for that to happen as much as I am to live the very next day. Yeah. Like I will live tomorrow, I will die tomorrow, I will love every one of those options.
Yeah.
And so I'm setting an expectation of love everything, with the outcome of everything becomes loved.
And everything is love.
And then I'm successful, So not trying to control it too much, not trying to control it. I guess controlling it is the best. I mean, and the flow state is always really kind of, I think, important because, and I think it's more than just a spiritual statement. It's an environment statement too. It's a statement that says, don't run uphill. Don't swim against the stream.
Oh, absolutely.
You can get
the wind behind your sails, pirate.
Yeah, exactly, right? So go the direction that you need to for now, because that direction can always make you come back around or go a different direction or do some different things. So if you find that you're struggling in the path that you are, maybe your expectation is wrong for your outcome.
It may not be where you need to go.
Yeah.
And that gets into a whole other subtopic, but that old model, and again, the old model is a 3D model. I bust my back my entire life,
Right.
and then I get what I want. If you just not push away, but you just focus on what is flowing with you, then you get all of the drag, all the friction, and you become frictionless, and you can move very quickly to what you want.
Right.
But when it is moving away from the belief systems of, in order for me to get this, I have to do this. And that's been the hardest thing for me financially. Yeah. It's been, I made really good money per week working on people, right? But there was no time for anything else with my life. I would be working from like 9 o'clock in the morning to 6 o'clock at night, and then I was generating, oftentimes $4,000 a week or something along those lines, which is good money. I can bring in more, and then I can give more. That's my philosophy now. I can bring in more, and I can give more, and the money can just come to me. And I don't have to be back there for 10 hours a day or however long I was back there every day. And I don't need to be bent over people working like I had before. I'm happy to heal people. I'm happy to support people. But my philosophy now is borrowed from Anna's, my partner, where it can just come.
Well, and I think that you've set a new expectation for your life.
Yeah.
In that aspect. And your expectation is produce things that make you happy.
Right.
And anybody can do that. So like that is your happiness. Like there is less financial structure.
Life can be a vacation.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
So as you build your life based off of that expectation, then your life becomes more of that outcome. So once again, it's kind of potentially just putting a proper expectation together, because you're no longer saying you're no longer focusing on me.
Yeah.
You're saying, well, this is the way I would like it to be, or I would like us to do this, or as we flow through this journey, we're going to tackle these problems and keep our minds open and accept those challenges, So it's accepting those outcomes as they come, but you've changed your expectation.
Yeah, and when it butts up against you, it's like you can go, why did I have that reaction?
And not to say that the person who wants to work all the time and make a lot of money can be their expectation too. Like, that's fine.
As long as they're,
if that's what makes them flow and provides them their pleasure, if they want to be, Donald Duck's rich uncle.
I want to swim in a coin bin.
Who was that?
Scrooge McDuck.
Scrooge McDuck, yeah. So if that's their happiness, then hey, you know what? Swim in a mountain of money.
His philosophy was work smarter, not harder.
Yeah.
That was engendered in me at a very young age. You can just tell the era that we grew up in, because it was like so.
And did he wear pants?
He didn't wear pants either.
I know. So you could be poor or rich, and you could not be. You can't understand.
As long as you have proper plumage.
And then you had plenty. You fine. No
you
pants.
You got enough feathers. I'm just going to tape feathers to mine.
We have the wrong expectation. We should wear less pants
and have more feathers.
And or yeah, sure.
Yeah. And wear a top hat and have a cane.
I want
to know, was that money vault filled with? I mean, because it looks like gold coins, but were those pennies? Was he just swimming in pennies?
Just be swimming
He's
in
like,
pennies.
convert all of my money to pennies.
Yes.
And I'm going to swim. There's a Family Guy episode where Peter has a flashback to his money bin, and he goes to dive in like Scrooge McDuck, and he just hits it hard. Breaks his bones because it's hard metal.
I mean, there's no way you'd be able to swim through a pile of pennies, quarters, nickels, dimes, whatever it is.
Oh, that would be so gross.
You would not be able to swim through it.
No, in Scrooge McDuck, there's like a scene where he's spitting out coins. You know how dirty that must be? Just to spit out coins.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And I'm pro dirt, but that's gross.
Yeah, that's too far.
Gross.
I mean, how do you clean them? Does he have like an autoclave or something?
I think even if it was just stacks of piles of paper, even if it was money, right?
It would
be
hard
all
to compress.
Through.
Yeah, you'd break your neck just jumping into it. That would be dangerous. Foam pit or water. That's all I'm jumping into is a foam pit or water.
Yeah, although I did see maybe there was an experiment that I saw on YouTube, and the guy had a hot tub full of sand.
Okay.
And he could stand on it.
Yeah.
He couldn't do anything with it. And so what? Oh, this is
Sounds
really
like
great.
he just ruined his hot tub.
No, he did. He totally just ruined his hot tub.
Okay.
And he couldn't move anything. He couldn't do anything. He couldn't swim through it. He wanted to swim through it, right?
Sure.
But there's a phenomenon that when you pass air molecules through a solid state, like that type of a situation, right? the solid state becomes fluid.
Okay.
And so then he could literally swim through the sand.
Yeah.
And he would sink, and he would, and like you could bounce a ball like it was water. The sand became water because of this air that was being, so he had set the system at the bottom of the jacuzzi.
Yeah.
And it would send all this high pressured air all through all the sand. And it just made all of the sand would just like move like water. And the moment you'd sit in it, you'd swim in it. You could do anything. It was just like a fluid liquid at that point in time. The moment you turn the air off, you get frozen in place and you couldn't move. And it would just like hold you into that spot and you were stuck.
That sounds awesome.
It was pretty cool.
Apart from the fact that the sand would get everywhere. Like if you dipped your head in there, you have sand in your nose and your eyes and your ears.
Yes, it was.
And I can't imagine.
So Scrooge McDuck must have had a aeration system.
Clearly.
To vibrate,
just
slightly to vibrate all of the coins.
Yeah.
Therefore, you'd be able to swim through them.
And then the Beagle Boys were always trying to take the money out of the coin vault. They had credit cards in the 80s. He had banks. Why did he keep it all in a giant vault?
Well, he was an old Scrooge.
Yeah, he was an old Scrooge.
He did it all the old school way. He did it all under
his expectation was keeping it all in a vault.
All in a vault.
You're not gaining interest on the vault, Scrooge.
Zero. It's actually costing you
put
money.
that in the market.
Because you have to pay rent and taxes on your vault.
Yeah, get one of those. I don't know anything about stocks. One of those mutual fund type things
that people do with their money.
The dismal science,
I love
economics.
I love it. It's not something it's not a topic we're gonna get into.
Not today.
No, never. I don't know. I don't think economics will ever be a topic that we get into.
We just did. I think we just got into the full.
We got into the economics of Scrooge McDuck's money to be able to swim through it.
Right.
Not financial resources, how to multiply that money.
So I'm going to draw back to a 20th century Scrooge
I like
McDuck.
that you're going to draw back to...
Because he's a cartoon.
Because he's already a cartoon.
Okay, I saw where you're going there.
Yeah,
this man was not a cartoon. Henry Ford.
Back in the...
Henry Ford, who's like kind of a proto Scrooge McDuck. I mean, Scrooge McDuck is based upon like A Christmas Carol and the Scrooge character, but then somehow he evolved into something that was a little bit more genial in the Scrooge McDuck character because he did have a heart, and that was something that was seen with Huey, Dewey, and Louie. But Henry Ford, he had a statement that he had said that I oftentimes quote, even though...
He had several statements.
Yeah, even though the man himself was maybe questionable as far as his philanthropy. But he said, whether you believe you can or whether you believe you can't, you're right. That's one of my favorite quotes because belief gets into so much of it. And you think about anyone who's ever been enterprising, like an Elon Musk or anyone else, not to venerate him or anything along those lines, but any of those characters, they just believe. Like Jeff Bezos, they ran Amazon at a loss for like the longest time.
Yeah.
There was a video I was watching of him in 60 Minutes, like this is like from the 90s, and he's working out of like a warehouse, and they're just selling books, and they're so small at that point, but he just kept on capitalizing his business and going, and no matter what he did, because there were a lot of competition at the time, but there's just this belief that is just, it doesn't get derided whatsoever. It is just steadfast.
But the statement is very true, right? Like, if you do or if you don't, as long as you believe in what you believe in. So, like, that's just it. Your success will become because you believe you're successful. Yeah. Your failure will become because you believe you're failing. So, if you believe in it, then it's going to happen.
Right.
And the interesting aspect is, as long as you keep believing in your goal will achieve. It's not about how much work and effort goes into it, because sometimes things are achieved because you have that. So not being defeated in the effort that it takes to become successful, but just focus more on the fact that you will become successful and keep putting that effort in and keep putting that those situations together. And then by nature, you try new avenues and you try new things and you try until they fit. Yeah. And then guess what? That piece of the pie is already there. It is its own self-fulfilling prophecy right off the bat. So the goal is to not be discouraged. Don't give yourself an expectation that you'll achieve that now. Mm-hmm. So that way you will just achieve it.
Yeah.
And you will work hard or work towards it, or work not hard on a Tuesday and hard on a Wednesday or whatever you want. But as long as you believe that that's still possible, it becomes possible within your life.
Well, it becomes you.
You know?
Yeah, you actually become it.
Yeah, and just make sure that it's something that you enjoy and that you want. There's nothing worse than working towards an expectation, working towards a goal that you have no expectation on. And society's told you to get a job, go to college, get a degree.
You're living someone else's dream.
You're living. There's no expectation that you have put on it. You're just doing what you've been told, and then you will never achieve that.
Well, and that gets into an interesting outcome and expectation point, which is like, you have a dream, I have a dream. That's how you started earlier. You started almost with the MLK, I have a dream pitch and everything. You have a dream and I have a dream. The dream that we have...
In my bus driver voice.
I have a dream. Madge's voice.
Do you think he would have been as profound if he had a raspy, scratchy
I'm glad he didn't
voice?
smoke a carton of cigarettes a day.
Like, it's seriously.
I love that. There's a video
He's
I did with
so
my...
resound. His voice is so resonant, so powerful.
Yeah.
And, you know, I mean, does that go into... I mean,
It
we
does.
always know it goes into speech.
Yeah.
So, you know, people who can project their voices are better speakers just because it makes people...
It's beyond that, though.
Yeah.
There's a term called vakshuddhi, which is like a word that's used within, I think, Hinduism or something along those lines. It basically means that you have the power to create through your voice.
Oh.
And a good friend of mine says, I have vak, is what she calls it, vak. And when I'm working on people, I will actually use my voice to open up different things within them. But yeah, he totally had vak.
I hope I have provoc.
You are provocative.
Yeah.
You have provoc.
I have provoc.
But yeah, no, I've gone so full circle. I didn't know where I was going off with the jumping point before. But no, to have vak is to be able to speak it into existence.
Okay.
And the power of your voice. But to believe, okay, so the belief systems, you actually end up becoming that. So the goal, I suppose, or the expectation is based upon a dream. The dream is not something that you're inventing. It's something that's living through you. Ask the average person, all right, you have a blank check. You can do whatever you want in the world. Create whatever you want. You know, what is your dream? What is your expression? And that's when you're in a flow state. I think when people end up tying themselves or handcuffing themselves to something that they don't really believe in or don't want to do, but they feel like they have to do, then it's an energy drag. Go towards what you want. It's a frictionless state. Move seamlessly towards that.
Yeah.
Singleness of focus towards exactly what your dream is, and it will manifest because that dream is something that's living through you. That dream is like your intention, your guidance system,
right.
And it's pointing you, and it's going to point you in a very unique place. It's going to point me in a very unique place. Ironically enough, if you're in your flow state and you're in your enthusiastic state and you're in your place of compassion and love and flow, then your dream will support my dream. And it may be different what it looks like. Your dream and my dream may look a little bit different, but it'll be a supportive end towards bringing more love, light, peace, and connection within the world. And serving as a model for people to go for what their natural expression is.
Well, and I think that it's really important because I think that sits on another topic that we had done, which was also creativity. So it's a good thing that we've already kind of touched on that creativity aspect.
Oh, I destroyed that episode.
Oh, damn it. It didn't get, we lost that one.
I burned it. It was just so hard to do because it was on YouTube. So I had to go to the YouTube facility and burn it down.
Burn YouTube down.
I could have probably just deleted it from the account.
But we've been able to touch on that. So like, this is just like part of that next step. Like, so you create your dream and then from there you can set up expectations. You can set up goals to try to get there. But I think making sure that they're flowable, obtainable, and don't be discouraged that it doesn't work the way that you want. So it's interesting. Go back to the boat issue.
Yeah.
I got a compliment from the guy who's selling me the boat. And he goes, you know, I'm really glad to see that you're still trying at this. I've been trying to buy a boat for over a month and a half now. Mm-hmm. And then the guy that's selling the boat has been very patient too and has seen that I've been doing my diligence. He says most of the time that people go to try to buy a boat, they just go to a bank, the bank says no, and they say, okay, I can't buy a boat. And so for me, I knew that I could buy a boat. I knew the practices. I didn't go into this situation going, oh, I got a 520 credit score and I've got, $6,000 of credit card bills and I don't pay every month and I want to buy a boat now. So I didn't go into it with that expectation,
right,
because that would set me up for failure.
Absolutely.
I've done the research. I've done the investigation. I've learned what credit means, what credit means to me, how it responds to that. So I've increased my credit score. I know what debt to income means. I've learned a lot about that, and I've decreased my debt to income. I know what my purchasing power is. I know that I live within a means now that has done it. So it's taken me years to develop the knowledge and education and everything, and so I know that I can buy a boat. And the guy compliments me on the fact that my diligence to pursue the success of this is better than most people, because he says that people get defeated because they tried, they couldn't buy a boat. And I've been trying, and realistically, I've been trying to buy a boat for 10 years, right? So it's not like I still haven't. My expectation is I want to buy a boat. My outcome is I will buy a boat. And the difference is making sure that each time I've gone along the way, I find myself in a cul-de-sac, I've turned around and I've found a new intersection.
Right.
And I'll go to the next one, and I'll go to the next one. And I keep trying to find those paths. And I've got smarter, I've gotten stronger, I've gotten financially more stable, I've decreased my financial liabilities. And I know that we're talking a lot about finances in this particular aspect, but they all speak to the goals and expectations that I have set on myself, and my dreams that I will obtain my dreams because I want them.
Yeah.
And that was the most important aspect. It took a lot of unnecessary financial planning to get there, because that's the world we live in. But I knew that if I set that up, eventually I would obtain it. And I just put the effort into it, and I just made sure that was what I wanted. And it brings me happiness. So I'm working towards something that brings me happiness. I see and I've done a lot of different exercises. You know, I've put the boat up on the mirror in the morning so you can visualize it. I've done that before.
No, the mirror's on the wall. It's not above your bed.
It is totally above my bed.
Okay.
Do you have any idea how awkward it is to make love to somebody while you're staring at your boat?
Oh, it's so funny. Your mic just cut out.
They question me a lot, and I go, "Arr, it's for the booty." And
wow,
yeah, right.
That's a full circle. I didn't expect to take with you.
I have to go back to that one.
Yeah,
bring it right back around.
I can't wash the thoughts out of my head right now.
So, and that's just it. I've taken those journeys, and they've been a glorious one. You know, I visualize my goal every day, every season, every year. I go to the boat show, and I dream about being on a boat, and I put ideas in my head, and I spend a lot of time. And people don't realize that your dreams don't happen tomorrow; they happen in a long time. So enjoy the journey.
Well, and that's exactly it. It's the old adage of, the
God. Sorry to step on you.
No,
on
the
that.
journey is the destination.
The journey. That's we're gonna have to talk about the journey.
Well, that's what we're talking about. The journey is the destination.
I think we should. I think that there's an episode, a topic in itself is the journey and how fun and creative and terrible
Steve Perry on
and
there.
hard. Steve Perry.
Yeah, he was a member of the band The Journey.
The Journey.
Yeah, Journey.
Don't
a little
stop over my head. Here,
believing.
Right here. That's
not the song. I'm gonna have you push a button. It's just gonna be like. And then it'll be taken off of YouTube for like playing a song that we didn't have the copyright access to.
Do we have the copyright access to that?
I don't know that would be anything that any human being would want to copyright. It's just a generic rim shot.
It's just a generic. Oh my God. Okay.
Yeah. So full circle.
Yes.
Pirates. Summation.
Pirates and booty.
Pirates, booty.
Yep.
Madge.
Yep.
Too many cigarettes. Bus driving. Outcomes, expectations,
right?
Financial institutions.
Yep.
Scrooge McDuck.
Exactly.
If you got all of that, you got
the
whole essence of our.
You will be happy and live prosperous forever.
Yar.
Yar.
Yeah. All right, I love you.
I love you, Ben. Thank you very much for, helping make a rough day more shinier today.
Yeah, and exceeding my expectations, which were 0. But have been immediately exceeded.
I'm glad that I can be better than nothing.
You are way better than nothing.
Hey, there you go.
Print that on T-shirts.
Hey, but I am whatever percent I am. I'm that percent better than nothing.
You are everything.
See?
You are everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty awesome.
You've always been a good friend.
Thanks.
You are a heart through and through, and I love you.
I love you too.
Yeah. And thank you guys for listening.
Seriously.
To whatever we just did. This has been Pinkie and the Ben.
Oh, wait.
Cue the end music.
Here we go.
We need new buttons.
Oh my God, those need to change.
Yeah.
Well, now I guess we have a name. We're gonna have to think of.
We're still
sounds.
going. We'll just end with a hmm.
I love it.